Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And we're back! Did you miss me? Oh my god, I missed you guys so much. I actually, a couple times while we were in Florida, I was thinking about, oh, I should do this video on my Peterisms channel, I should do that video. I actually put in my list one video that I thought about while I was gone. So that video is coming. It's not a meditation video, it's about having a boring, simple life. Should I just do that video today? Actually, let's just do that video today since it's the first day of spring. And it is, well, it's not the first day of spring. It's April 1st. It's April 1st. Getting everything mixed up. We came home yesterday and we'll do some meditations later in the week. But let's just do a story first. So we came home yesterday and we were driving home from the airport and Alex said, he goes, it's so pretty, it's so green outside, and I was like, I know. And he goes, this is the first time in a long time that we've come home from a trip, because when we went to my brother and sister-in-law's wedding in San Diego, it was like fall, and then we came home, after New Year's, and it was like cold outside. So this is the first time we came home, and you could see like all the trees budding and everything. It was really beautiful. And we had such a fantastic trip. We were gone 10 days. It was such a great time to reconnect. And when I was nearing the end of the trip, I was kind of getting really excited to come home. I was like, I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks, and I was like, I am ready to enter spring, sit on the front porch, read books, listen to books, go to the pool this summer, hang out with Caroline, hang out with Tanya, hang out with Alex and Boo, and just have a really great spring and summer. And I'm really excited about it, And that kind of got me thinking about being boring and being simple. And it's kind of something that I talk a lot about. I'll refer to myself as I just have this boring, simple life and all that kind of stuff, which I think by my own definition, I do, I don't know what people think of, yes, we just got back from this fantastic vacation, but by and large, most of my days are, just sitting around and, sitting on the front porch, having a cup of coffee. What you see on video is really not a whole lot different than how my life is. Sitting on the front porch, having a cup of coffee, doing my meditations and my prayers, talking to my neighbors. I was looking at my hostas this morning that are starting to come up and being like, okay, I need to talk to my neighbor about moving the hostas and, thinking about how we're going to do the patio. Came home last night. First thing I did was water the plants, in the bathroom because I want to make sure they make it, through to the warmer weather so I can put them outside. And, it's I have this life that I think probably on the outside looking in is boring. And I can remember in my youth, seeing people that were had this life and their life looked so exciting and, everything they wore was so cool and so exciting and everything they did and from the music they listened to the movies they watched were different and exciting, and the movies they watched were important and different and exciting, and the books they read were different and important and exciting, and they went here and they went there, and every picture of them was it's always just they just seemed like such interesting, exciting people to me, right? And I think that there was a period of my life, much more so in my youth, where I worked really hard to fill that space and try to be like those people. Because I thought well, if I read the books they're reading and if I watch the shows and the movies that they're watching and all that kind of stuff, then I'll have a really exciting life, And I think it's been only in the last 10 years that I've really stepped into my kind of what I would consider, I don't know, my boring, simple life a little bit. I remember going to my 20th anniversary, and everybody was very dressed up, and Alex and I I wore jeans and a Western shirt with pearl buttons and, some Chuck Taylors, and I can remember every person and that was the beginning of 5 years in probably to Facebook, but it was towards the beginning. I remember, all these people that had followed me that I went to school with, many of which I wasn't even friends with, and they would say things to me at the the reunion, and they would say, "You guys have such an exciting life. You guys are doing stuff all the time. You're going to music festivals. You're doing this. You're doing that." I'm like, I don't really think that my life seems like that exciting. Like, we have a fun life. We have a solid life, you know? And they're like, you guys are always like playing with your dogs in the backyard or like going out to dinner with friends or whatever. I'm like, isn't that kind of what everybody else does? And I think that was the first moment that I realized that other people were looking at me as I had been looking at other people for much of my life, to like this kind of reference point of what's cool and what's exciting and how to have this better life. And what I realized, you know, is that the grass is not always greener on the other side. And, you know, I learned this from a friend of mine years ago in recovery, that you always lose by comparison. You know, that if you compare your life to somebody else's, you're always going to lose, you know, because you're going to think their life is more exciting and that your life is less and whatever, right? Or their life is better and your life is less, or they have more and you have less, or they have a bigger house and your house is worse because it's smaller, or whatever, you know? And in the last few years where I've really struggled with this a lot, you know, there's been times in my vlog where I talked about my very small life. Well, you know, before that, it was like, you know, we would go over to people's houses. Our condo is 1,200 square feet. And we would go over to people's houses whose houses were 7,000 square feet. And they're 10 years younger than me. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? You know, this was, you know, not 5 years ago. This was 10, 15 years ago. And I would say something to Alex, and Alex would say, he would say, I wouldn't want a 7,000 square foot house. It's like too much house to take care of and whatever, right? And then, like, I struggled so much when I stopped driving and I wasn't leaving the house, and I felt like my life was really small. And there was like this moment that I felt like I'm just stuck here all the time. Like, I just, you know, I don't see people and whatever, which wasn't true, because I was seeing Caroline and we were going to brunch, and I was seeing Tanya, and I was talking to my neighbors who were so fantastic, right? And one day I was sitting on my front porch and I made this list of like everything in my life that I'm happy for. And it was very much like the end of Wizard of Oz, that everything that, you know, she was looking for was in her own backyard. It was like everything that I ever wanted, I had here. I had all the books I could read. I could DoorDash food whenever I wanted, or order anything from Amazon. I could sit on my front porch and have beautiful flowers out there. I could talk to my neighbors. I could listen to music all day long. I could take a nap whenever I wanted to. I have the most amazing job in the entire world by just getting to talk to you guys, and you guys are nice enough to listen, you know, and I could just share my life with other people. And what I realized was my life really wasn't that small at all. And it really wasn't that boring or wasn't that simple. And probably what seemed boring or simple to other people, you know, or what seemed boring or simple to me, because I defined it that way, still had just a week ago, you know. And, but in that moment I realized, I still have that list on my phone somewhere, that like my life wasn't as small as I thought it was. You know, that I was looking at it, comparing it to other people's lives. I've always done that, you know, and I think that goes way back to my childhood of people that had it easier than me in school because they weren't being picked on. And I always thought if I just were in their shoes, you know, for a second. And I remember years ago, you know, I was at the casino and I met this guy that I had gone to like school with. He was always very nice to me, and he was like, you know, the quarterback or some football player, big football player for our high school. And I said something to him about like how hard, we were talking about school, and I said something to him about how hard school was, and he said school was really hard for me too. And I just kind of like was like, yeah, whatever. And I was like, you're the, you know, hottest girlfriend, all this kind of stuff. He goes, the expectations that were put on me by the school, by my parents, by my teachers. He's like, I always had to do this, get straight A's. I always had to like win every football game, condition, whatever. And he's like, I never really had like a moment to relax. What I realized was I hadn't really looked at it from somebody else's point of view, or somebody else's shoes, or somebody else's point of view. No, his wasn't exact as mine, but that's not to take away that it wasn't any easier or more difficult from his perspective. I don't know what his perspective was. I didn't live that, right? And I think that's where I look at my life and I say, oh God, my life is boring compared to other people. When other people are probably out there going, God, I wish I had Peter's life. And that's where I think gratitude comes from. You know, it's like way back when I was first sober, and I had this friend of mine in my aftercare group, and he said this prayer, which was, help me to want what I already have. I already have a simple abundance of an amazing life. You know, I have everything that I want in my life. And I think the trick to it is, and not playing it off. And I'm sure I'll continue to say it in videos and be like, oh, I have a boring life or a simple life. I do. My life is simple. And I'm sure to some people it's boring, but I love my life, you know? I was getting ready to make videos today and I was listening to music and I was dancing around my bedroom and I was drinking some coffee out on the front porch. I love my life. I love it. And it's about stepping into the boredom. It's about stepping into whatever makes me happy and living that most authentic life, listening to the music that I want to listen to, reading the books or listening to the books that I want to, watching the shows, not caring what everybody else's perspective is. Oh, that show's stupid, you shouldn't watch it, or that book is dumb, you won't like that. But reading, listening to whatever you want to, watching whatever shows or movies you want to, do what makes you happy. In the end, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It doesn't matter if you have the most exciting life on Instagram or the most boring life sitting on your front porch. It doesn't matter as long as you are happy. Don't compare your life to somebody else's. I did it for way too long. Now I appreciate other people's lives. I ask people to tell me about their lives because I love to hear about other people's lives. But that doesn't mean that I want their life. I'm very happy with my life today. I'm very grateful for it. I feel blessed for my life today, you know? And I don't feel like I have to make excuses for how simple or boring it is anymore, you know? I can just be and enjoy it. So, thank you for listening. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.